Hey, what's going on, guys? Threat Level Midnight here, and if you saw the title of the video, you guessed it, we are talking about revolvers for defensive use, and not just defensive use, everyday carry. And you might be wondering what kind of person carries a revolver around every day, and pretty much all the days that I'm not working, I either carry this Kimber K6 or I carry a bodyguard, but in 380. I'm a big fan of the real micro compact guns, just for doing odds and ends around town. If I'm going to the store or going to Lowe's or something, I'm okay with that. And then I have this Colt Detective Special here, another 2-inch barreled 38 Special, and I carried this one as a backup gun on duty for a number of years. It was a hand-me-down from my grandpa to my mom and then to me, and we all carried it as backup guns. So I have a little bit of an attachment to these little 38s, but you know, are they worth it? Let's take a dive into it. So starting with the gun that I carry every day, or at least for the most part, it's the Kimber K6. It's got a 2-inch barrel. I bought this maybe 6 years ago or so, like right after it first came out, and as soon as I picked it up at the store, I loved the thing. Coming off of the Colt Detective Special, the way that they angled the grip feels great. I like the way it looks. It's chambered in 357 mag. I shoot 38 Special out of it. You put out a huge fireball with a 327, a lot of recoil, and you're not getting that much extra velocity, especially coming out of a 2-inch barrel. Now, if this thing had a 4 or a 6, hey, I'd probably shoot 357 out of it, but that's not the point. But this thing can handle the plus P loads just fine, and any modern loads that you give to it. I like the push button on the side instead of you know, pushing it down or pulling back. Push button on the side to open the cylinder is nice. And something that Kimber did here, which was one of the first, other than like the Performance Center Smith & Wessons, which are a 5-shot, not a 6, is they put real sights on the gun. And they put just standard, you know, 3-dot sights. And I really appreciate that, coming off of the Colt Detective Special, which just has the blade and the notch on it. This was a huge upgrade for me. And it doesn't have an exposed hammer. I wasn't firing it from double action anyways. You know, I wasn't pre-cocking the hammer when I would fire this thing anyhow. So it didn't really matter to me, so I don't care that it's totally enclosed. But you know, the big question is, hey, why would you carry a revolver in a world of compact guns? So yeah, you know what, I do have a handful of compact guns, but I continue to go back to this revolver because it's very small, it's really lightweight, and it conceals like shockingly well. And I know you're thinking like, hey, you know, look how thick the cylinder is. That can't be good for concealment. And I'll tell you, there's something about the shape of a revolver, and when you put it in a holster, I have a DeSantis gun hide leather holster here, and it's more or less like a pancake holster. It's just leather all the way around, and when the gun goes inside, you can see like, hey, the profile is actually, it's pretty thick on here. But you know what we do with our holsters? Here's one for a Bodyguard 380, which is an extremely thin gun, but I end up putting a wedge on there, and when you put the wedge on the gun, it ends up canting the grip into your body to conceal it better. So if you look at the profile of a Bodyguard 380 holster next to a revolver holster, you know, they're about the same thickness. So in essence, what the cylinder does, it acts like its own wedge. So instead of needing to add a wedge for concealment, it already kind of has it built in because it's thick in the right spot. And it really helps it conceal well. And as far as my Detective Special goes, I was carrying this one in an ankle holster on duty as a backup gun, and it concealed really well there too. If you're wearing just regular loose-fitting clothes, like khaki pants, or like, you know, kind of like a road officer would wear uniform pants, the thing conceals really well, and it's pretty comfortable. You know, and over time I tried it in different locations. I tried it attached to my vest on the inside and realized I couldn't really get to it easy at all. Even you'd have to tear out buttons or tear your zipper to try to get to it, and then it's you know, it's over 120 degrees here in the summertime, so I would sweat on the thing, and it's blued steel, and I just rust the gun out, so I stopped carrying it after a while. But I do like these little guns, so concealment's a huge plus to me. And 38 Special, everyone makes 38 Special. 38 Special's been around forever. And there's a million different cartridges out there for it, and I have a handful just sitting here behind me at the table, so let's take a look. So here's a few offerings that you might find on it at a gun store at any given day. This is just your Remington like green and yellow box. It's a 158 grain like semi-jacketed hollow point. That's kind of standard fare. You used to be able to get this stuff at Walmart all the time back when they sold ammo. And this is another one. This is just a Winchester. It's a 125 grain semi-jacketed hollow point. This one's a plus P load. Another kind of a Walmart load right here. And then a little bit more modern would be like your 125 grain Hornady critical defense. And then your kind of the most modern load that I have, and this is what I actually carry all the time, is the Federal HST. And now you can see that the bullet is recessed all the way into the casing. They say it's optimized for snub-nose revolvers, and you can see that the hollow point on here is just massive. It's almost all the way expanded, just as it is. It's already it's capable of tremendous expansion, which is cool when you compare it to these other hollow points that are, or soft points, I guess. They're kind of semi hollow points, but mostly soft points. And then this is just 125 grain. This is just a target load that I load for shooting at the range. It's what I'll be shooting when we shoot most of our range video here. And that's 125 grain. It's a hollow point. Doesn't expand particularly well. Just a Plinken round from Rainier Ballistics that I load in here. But as you can see, there's no shortage. Like, you could get these at any gun store pretty much any time. But here, let's take a close look at the Kimber K6. Like I said, it is chambered in 357 mag. I just don't shoot 357 out of it. Better look at those sights, just your standard 3-dot sights. They're a little bit bold for my taste. Like, the dots are pretty large, but it's so much better to me than having just a notch and a blade. And you can see the cylinder's been slimmed down a little bit. Just a really comfortable, lightweight gun. The grip feels great right out of the box. I still, like, my pinky doesn't fit on here, so these guns, they suffer, you know, the same thing that all tiny guns suffer from, is reduced grip size and a short sight radius. So fundamentals are going to be really important. It's going to be important to establish that good grip, and it's going to be really important to keep proper sight alignment when you're shooting, because it's going to be easy to miss. And you know, when I filmed the video of the Ruger LCP versus the Bodyguard 380, it was the same thing. I get a pinky grip here, really short sight radius. So accuracy may or may not come into play here, but we'll take these guns out to the range and try them out. But all in all, I'm a big fan of both of these guns. The Detective Special, kind of an heirloom here. It's chambered only in 38 Special, and you can run plus P out of it, but I usually just run just kind of standard green and yellow box, non plus P. You can see it's just a blade and a notch, so not much there in the way of sights, but it still works just fine. I've shot this gun plenty, and it works just fine. Both the triggers on these guns are quite smooth, even in that long pull. Real smooth triggers, and then this one shortens it up quite a bit. And then the Kimber, that was kind of what sold me, is when I bought this one a handful of years ago, I stacked it up next to a Smith & Wesson Performance Center, and two things happened. One, I looked at the Smith & Wesson, and it was only a 5-shot compared to a 6, and I was already used to having a 6-shot cylinder. And then the trigger, and even compared to a Performance Center Smith & Wesson, I thought that this Kimber trigger was even better. So huge fan of the K6, and it has my strongest recommendation as a little 2-inch revolver. All right, so now that we've seen the guns up close, let's talk about why you would choose a gun like this over a full size, or even something that's kind of mid-range compact like a Glock 19. And so part of it is use case. Like, what's the goal here? If I'm working, like I've been working gangs for a long time. If I'm at work, I don't carry this as my primary. Okay, I carry a full-size M&P and a Tier 1 concealment holster with an extra mag on it, right? Because of the nature of the work that I'm doing. Now, if I'm on my own, I'm going to the grocery store. Do I think this is sufficient? Yeah, I do. And it's easy to cook up scenarios in your head where, you know, you see these videos of Venezuelan gangsters recently taking over an apartment. It's like, yeah, if you live in the hood and you're in one of those apartment complexes, hey, you might want to carry something a little bit more heavy duty. You might want to carry something that's mag fed, that has, you know, full capacity, not just 6. If there's 500 Somali fighters bearing down on you from the south, you might want to not carry a revolver. You might want to carry something else. But I will say that if you're looking for a lightweight gun that conceals very easily in shorts and pants, with tight-fitting shirts on, with loose-fitting shirts on, with anything, this is a good option for you. Now, going into, you know, kind of self-defense shootings, how often are people firing full mags during a self-defense shooting? Not that much. Most of them are resolved within between 1 and 3 shots. Am I saying that you shouldn't be prepared for something else? By No, by no means. And by no means am I saying that this is better than carrying a full-size gun. Like, a full-size gun is the king, right? It's going to be the king of pistol, gunfighting. If you can carry a Staccato XC instead of this, like, great, go for it. Like, by all means. But not all of us are going to carry that all the time. And like I said, I don't carry my M&P full size all the time because it's not that comfortable all day long every day. And if I'm just going to get groceries and I'm not going to be going through gang turf trying to jump out on someone, I don't necessarily need a full size gun all the time. And I think it's really easy to get really lost on all these crazy scenarios where it's like, I don't know, are you marked for death by your local warlord? Maybe you are. I don't know. But you see these videos of a Chrysler 300 full of gangsters jumping out and just smoking someone with a bunch of mini Dracos and Glocks with switches. It's like, well, they don't usually do that to normal people. So unless you have some beef with like a local street gang, I don't foresee that happening to you. Again, I'm not saying don't be prepared for that if you truly believe that it's going to happen, but it's easy to cook up scenarios where you're just getting lost in the weeds of, I need all this firepower. And if that's the case, then you better carry a rifle too, and you better carry medical stuff, and you better carry extra rifle mags and have a radio to contact a team of people to help you. Like, you can really go down a rabbit hole of things to be prepared for. And I think people pick and choose things that they think are going to happen based on things that may be seen on TV or movies instead of reality. And the reality is this: hey, the most likely scenario that I can see myself getting into on an off-duty self-defense shoot is some crackhead at the Arco at 2 a.m. when I'm getting gas coming at me with a pointy screwdriver, something like that, where a little bit of foresight when you see the guy picking through the trash, maybe you get gas somewhere else. That happened the other day. I went to go get gas, and here's some dopehead running around picking through the trash cans, and he starts cruising his little bicycle my way, and I'm like, you know what? 11 gallons is enough. I don't need to fill up all the way, right? So that I don't end up in a situation where some dope fiend is trying to shank me with a butter knife or something, right? Or you have a gangster that's trying to rob you or whatever. I mean, I think the scenarios where people think they're going to be shooting it out with 6 assailants is pretty rough at best. And I've worked a number of shootings, self-defense and otherwise, and even the gangster on gangster shootings. Like, if you were a concealed carry holder at the time, it's probably best to not even get involved in the gang on gang shooting that's going on. Just get out of the way and let it happen. So for me, on my normal day-to-day routine where I'm not at work, this is plenty, and it conceals well, and it's lightweight, and it shoots real well. And so this is plenty for me. But enough talking about it. Let's go. Let's take these guns out to the range and see what they can do. All right, guys, so we made it out to the range, and just like we discussed, the first thing we're going to test is accuracy. We're going to start off at 15 yards and just see what kind of groups we can pull with these guns. As you can recall, the Colt and the Kimber have very different sighting systems. You just have a blade and notch, and you have a nice 3-dot with the Kimber. So let's just see what we can do with both of them. And here's just a quick overview of our targets. We have little silhouettes that I cut out. I had to get rid of some cardboard. But we have 3-inch squares right here for our target zone. And then when we pan out, we have our 15-yard mark right here. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with the Colt. I'm going to use the long trigger pull. I'm not going to pre-cock the hammer before I shoot. I'm going to start on the target on the left, and let's see what we can do. All right, let's take a look. So looking at the target here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I'm being quite honest, I don't know where 5 and 6 went. It's possible, no, it's still just one shot. So 4 out of 6. It's a tight group where they're at. I'd like to shoot another string and see if I can tighten that up a little bit, but we'll go ahead and try the Kimber now. And now we'll shoot the target on the right with the Kimber. And let's take a look at the target. All right, so we can see with the Kimber I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I would say a less good group, but the same amount of shots on target. And again, I don't know where 5 and 6 went because they all felt like decent shots. Looks like this gun just patterns low if I'm looking at the sights here. So let's shoot another string and see how we do. All right, so we have all of our shot holes marked and we have new stickies up, and let's go ahead and give the Colt another shot. Target on the left. And let's take a look. All right, so this time with the Colt, we have 1, 2, it looks like 3, 4, 5, and I had previously marked these off just in case, and maybe 6 up here on the post. And so when we're on, but it seems like we're prone to a little bit of stringing here. Let's shoot the Kimber again. So we have all the shot holes marked. We'll be shooting on the right side target with the Kimber. And keeping in mind that it shot a little low last time, I'll put my sights just a little bit higher. All right, so this time we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see a nick here, that's 5, and I marked this one on the wood, and there is 6. So at least we have all 6 accounted for. You can see the group size is about the size of my hand spread out, so you're looking at probably 8 inches or so, maybe 10 if you count from here. Well, actually a little bit less because these are previous shots, so I'd almost cover it with the palm of my hand. This cardboard's actually pretty small, so that's okay for a 2-inch barreled gun, I think. So we shot our initial groups, and not great, not terrible for a 2-inch barreled gun. I think that's okay. You know, if we were shooting a bigger B27 target, like a full-size silhouette, obviously you'd be able to see where they all print. And they're going to produce a group about this big at 15 yards. So for me, kind of a trade-off for having a gun that's concealable, that you can tuck anywhere, which brings us to our next topic of concealability. So you can see I'm wearing a pretty tight-fitting shirt right here, but the Kimber tucks so far down that it's very easy to conceal, and like I say, with the DeSantis holster here, it's almost like a pancake holster, and it just hooks onto the belt. But this is a tight-fitting shirt, and I don't have to worry about this thing printing anywhere. If I'm carrying, when I work, I carry a full-size M&P in a Tier 1 rig with an extra mag on it, and that one I have to be a little bit more conscious about the type of clothing I'm wearing. If I'm carrying the K6, it really doesn't matter at all. It's gonna tuck into anything, shorts, t-shirts, whatever. But for me, I think this is pretty concealable as far as guns go. Now the Colt, you know, I carried that one in an ankle rig, and I like to carry it on the inside of my left ankle, and that way when I draw with my primary hand, I can just go straight to my ankle and bring it up. Now, kind of a situational carry there as a backup gun, or maybe you're just wearing khakis and you're working a plainclothes gig. But as far as that goes, you can see there's not really any bulge. If you're wearing loose enough pants, khakis are good for it too. Khakis are great for ankle holsters, or these are just, you know, Wrangler, ripstop pants. You can't see it at all. So with the gun itself right here, you can draw straight out of your ankle, or you can go down and draw out of the ankle. And either way is fairly concealable. Just make sure your pants are long enough so that when you sit down, your pants don't ride up and expose, you know, the barrel of your gun. All right, so now we're moving on to our next topic of recoil control and follow-through. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to go ahead and shoot a series of bill drills, and they're not going to be a true bill drill at 7 yards. I'm going to shoot a modified at 5 yards in the spirit of 2-inch revolvers. And I'm going to shoot most of the remainder of this video with the Kimber, since that's what I carry most of the time. I just want to get some good range work in while we're out here anyways. I might touch on the Colt later, but we'll be shooting with the Kimber most of the time. So we're going to use the same target. I'm going to go ahead and then mark off all of our shot holes, and we'll use our 3-inch shoot and see here as our kind of reference point. So let's see what we can do. All right, so here's our first modified bill. Like I say, we're at 5 yards. I'm going to run it off the timer from concealment and just see what we can do with it. All right, let's see how we did. And you can see I have first shot low, and then 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6. And I'll tell you what, that's a tight spread right there. Time 3:51. Not like an amazing bill drill speed, but it was the first one from concealment with the 2-inch revolver. And I'd say that's one, accuracy wise, that's pretty good. And if we take a look at the splits here, see, first shot broke at 210, so pretty slow on the draw. And then a 27, 30, 29, 26, 29. So we're running upper 20 splits with a pretty slow draw. And like I said, this holster, the DeSantis holster, is a pancake. It's not a Kydex like maybe your tier 1 concealeds are. So the draw with this thing coming out is not going to be quite as fast as running a true like Kydex concealment holster. All right, so we got a fresh target up there. Let's run it again, see what we can do. I need to pick up the draw speed a little bit because I don't think that 2 seconds is a good draw by any means. All right, time 3:17. And let's take a look at how we did. So, first 3 shots low, working on getting my grip as I come out of the holster. I'm already firing, trying to adjust my grip. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If this was a standard like IPSC, like A zone, those would all be in the A zone. But like I say, we are shooting at 5 yards. So time 3:17. We'll have a look at our splits. So draw 178, so we did pick up the draw speed. First split 31, 24, 29, 28, 27. So splits a little bit faster. Draw speed was where we really made up the time there. Let's do it again. All right, we went from 3:51 to 3:17. I'd like to get this under 3, so our draw needs to get picked up, but I need to be able to maintain a good grip. I want to keep our accuracy tight. So let's see what we can do. Time 2:96.
Let's see how we did.
Okay, so we marked off all of our old shot holes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 was right here. My first shot, I ripped straight through the wood post right here. So again, they still would fall into a traditional A zone, except for this one right here. But the time was 2:96. So we did meet our time goal. First shot broke at 1:56, so that's where our time was made up on the draw stroke, not on the splits. So then a split of 32, 26, 26, 31, and 25. So splits kind of all over the place there, which would account for kind of the sloppy grouping there. But overall, we were able to run it in under 3 seconds, and I think that's decent for a little wheel gun. All right, so now we're going to move back to 7 yards and we'll work on transitioning from target to target. So we have one target on the left, one target on the right. We'll just go ahead and fire 2, 2, and 2 and just work on how easy it is to flow from target to target with the revolver. Here we go. Time was 5:06, and let's see how we did. So you see the target on the left here. We have 4 holes here. Good grouping up top. One was a little bit low. For reference, this circle is 3 inches. And then our Target on the right has our 2 shots. Now we'll run this again. We'll just run it in reverse, and we'll start on the target on the right, and then move to left, and then back to right again. All right, here we go. All right, time 5:01. Let's see how we did. All right, so you can see we started on this target, so we should have another set of holes on here. And I'll tell you what happens is with that short sight radius, if your muzzle's up at all, those shots just wing straight over the top. So it's very important to have a good grip on there. So I completely missed, even at 7 yards, this whole piece of cardboard. And our shots on this side are all here. And we'll run this drill one more time. Here we go. And let's see how we did. So you can see we marked off a lot of our shots on this one, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in here. And on this target here, I only see 1 shot hole right there. So again, when I'm running too much speed, it's not as easy. It's not as easy to get the targets. Looks like we registered another hit. Overall time was 5:22. So a little bit slower, but again, I pulled a shot completely off of this target. All right, so we pushed some target transitions, some follow-up shots, and now we're going to put it together with a reload. That's the next thing we need to address. And then that's the one thing that everyone has the most reservation about is how is it fast to reload a revolver? And well, if you're using a speed loader, it can be fast, but I am not. I carry speed strips because they lay extremely thin and flat. They hold 6 rounds, and what you do is when you pop the cylinder, you load 2 at a time. And just like a magazine when you're shooting, it's important to have this indexed in the correct location. So, you know, if you're shooting a semi-auto pistol and you go to do a magazine change, you're going to be using your support hand and doing your reload. Now with a revolver, because I'm pushing the cylinder open with my support hand, I'm going to be indexing my speed strip with my primary hand and loading the cylinder over the top like this, opposite of what you would have a pocket that you'd carry a magazine in. Now, it's just one of those kind of training things that you need to address before you go out and do it live, right? If you carry the speed strip in this pocket and you are holding the gun in this hand, now you're going to have to switch hands, get your speed strip, switch hands again, and start loading the revolver. So something to consider. But what we're going to do is we're back at 5 yards. We're going to fire 6 shots into our little silhouette here, and we're going to reload and then fire 1 shot and see what kind of times we can produce. It's going to be slow. Fair warning. It's not going to be pretty, but it is doable. So let's give it a shot. All right, so 6 rounds, reload 1 round. As always, we're going to try to hold ourselves accountable here and keep all of our rounds on target because no one cares if you can't hit what you're shooting at. Let's see what we can do. All right, time 14:14, and the reload was actually a little smoother than I thought, but 14 seconds is tough. Let's look at the target. So you can see our accuracy-wise, we didn't do too bad here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 is right here. So accuracy-wise, we're looking pretty good. The reload, not so fast though. Just like I said going into it, our first shot broke at 168, so our draw time's picking up a little bit. Our splits 30, 28, 28, 30, 31, so good consistent splits. And then there comes the reload in 10.99 seconds. So is that fast? No. Is it best case for you? No. But is it important to know how to top your wheel gun off? Yes, absolutely. So let's try that again. Now here's something that I wanted to address that I didn't. The reason why I want to run 6 shots out of this gun is because revolvers have a tendency, once you fire the cartridges out, some of the brass, like when it's loaded and heavy and the brass is clean, the brass slides out of the cylinder very easily. But once you have a little bit of powder burning on the inside and the case expands a little bit, sometimes you get maybe one or two cases that are stuck in there that you have to pluck out. So it's important to practice your reloads, not just putting one round in the cylinder and then popping one out, but to run all 6 so that you get a feel and you have an understanding that, hey, maybe this one right here, because it interfaces with the grip, that one might get stuck in there. Just something to take note of and something to train for. Our last time was 14-14. I'd like to pick that up. The shooting is pretty much as fast as I can get it. I'll try to pick up my draw speed maybe a little bit, but the reload is where the time is really getting added on. So let's see if we can pick it up a little bit. Bad draw. All right, so that was significantly worse. Well, I say significantly, but 1570. You can see I even called it out that I had a snag on my draw. But you fight through it anyways. You fight through the drill, and that's an important part of training, is not to just give up if you botch a draw or botch a reload. You need to fight through it, because things in real life aren't going to be perfect. So 1570. Let's see what we did. And right away, hey, I'm flustered off of a bad draw. I'm still shooting anyways. My splits seemed bad, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 right there. So they're all in a fairly decent group for shooting as fast as we were shooting. But again, hey, if you get flustered, like, there's nothing you can do but just get through it. There's no do-overs in real life. So again, if this was an A zone, like on an IPSC, they'd pretty much all be in there. Maybe this one would be on the line a little bit, but they'd all still be in there. And I didn't go over our numbers that time. So 1570 was the total time. Draw was at 223, right? So we're at like 0.6 seconds slower than last time. And then our splits were ugly because I had a bad grip on the pistol from a bad draw. So you have a 49. So you have 49, 40. 41, 40, 43, and then 11:34 on the reload. So all around slower, but I'll tell you that those slow splits, like, we haven't seen splits that slow all day, and it's because I had a bad grip on the pistol. So each time I'm having to compensate a lot more with my wrist movement, and it's slowing us way down. So a good grip on the gun and a good draw is very important. So here's a question I know I'm going to get is, hey, if I fire 2 shots, how hard is it to top a revolver off if you fired 2 and maybe you're behind cover, the suspect that you're shooting at took off, your attacker is no longer a threat, but you don't want to dump your whole cylinder because you've only fired 2 of your 6. Can you top off with a couple of shots? And the answer is yes, you can. And you just need to be careful when you're extracting your shell casings, because if you push your plunger all the way, you're going to end up dumping all of your live ammo out, right? So sometimes it's a balance of like, hey, do I need to reload right now, or am I okay with 4 shots? So something to consider. But let's go ahead and try it, and I'll see if I can demonstrate it for you here. We'll go ahead and fire 2 shots, and then try to extract 2 shots, the 2 empty casings, and then reload 2 more. All right, suspect took off. I can extract 1, 2, and then use my speed strip, insert, and I'm getting kind of a hard angle there. And now I'm topped off with 2. Now, it's almost just as fast to dump the whole cylinder and go from there, because you can see I had to manually extract those casings. So if you have the time, go for it. Do I recommend it? Probably not, but we'll do it again and see. This time I'm going to fire a shot to see our reload speed, to see what it's actually like. So I'll fire 2, top off with 2, and then fire 1 to see what kind of times we're looking at. One, 2. And that was 1196. And you see I tried to stow my speed strip, because if you're topping off like that, you're probably at a time where you can stow it. But 1196 is only a couple seconds faster than we were shooting 6, reloading, and then firing 1. So is it super efficient? No. If you have the time, maybe it's a time to dump the whole cylinder and just put a fresh one in there if you have that much time, or to just choose not to reload at all, because if you resolve your situation in 2 shots, I think you'll be okay with the next 4, hopefully anyways. Okay, one last thing with reloads I wanted to address is hey, those speed strips kind of suck, right? Your reloads are still pretty slow. Yeah, they're still pretty slow. And the question that I know I'm going to get is it even faster than having loose rounds in your pocket and topping off? And I say yes, I think it is, but we're going to go ahead and put that to the test. So I'm going to run the reload drill one more time. I'm going to fire 6 rounds, reload with my speed strip and fire 1, and then we'll look at our reload time, and then I will fire 6 rounds and top off from my pocket, and I'll even give myself an advantage. I'm going to have a pocket full of 38, so it's not just 6 where I'm trying to pluck each one. I'll just have a big pocket full, and I'll see how fast I can top it off one at a time and then get that last shot off. So let's go ahead and put that to the test and see what we can do. Even had 2 stuck right there. So speed strip acting up again, 1895. That was tough. That was real tough right there. And I dropped a round too. So let's answer that question and see what we can do with loose rounds. I'm gonna index them in the right location and in the correct pocket, and we'll see what we can do. Let me switch them over. But you can see on that round, that was tough. That was I had two shells that didn't come out and when I punched the plunger, and then I had the last round on the speed strip that just didn't want to cooperate at all. So let's see if single loading the revolver is just as fast as a speed strip. Here we go. Make sure I'm topped off here. Topped off. Let's put it to the test. Here we go. $17.58. Whoa, that was a big surprise to me. That we just beat the speed strip time. I'd like to put those head to head again, but I think it's a good contrast to show you what you're capable of. Now I will say that the speed strip, what it does is it consolidates your ammo, so it keeps 6 rounds in one location as opposed to a pocket full. I could certainly see spilling all of my ammunition out. If I had a big pocket full when I was reloading at a pinch, I could certainly see spilling, just like I dropped one with the speed strip. But let's do it again and see what we can do. All right, guys, I don't want to make speed strip excuses, but there was like a lot of little bits of like sand and other debris that was caught up in here at the time. Maybe that had something to do with that round getting stuck. I blew all the sand and debris out. Let's put it head to head again. Speed strip versus single load. Time 1481, and I don't know if you caught that or not, but one live round once again fell out of the speed strip, so we have a partial load at 1481. Let's go ahead and top off, and I don't know, guys, I don't know, it might be faster to go single load, or it might be more consistent to do single load anyways, but I suppose that depends on how you pick up each cartridge. But like I say, I'll start off kind of cheating the system here with a whole pocket full of 38. Now, if you had just 6 rounds of 38 in your pocket, it'd probably be a little bit more difficult trying to poke through, but let's give it a shot. 2036. And I will say that I grabbed a handful of shells. I grabbed 6 right on that first grab, and it's not as easy to manipulate 6 shells in your hand at once. So I'm going to give the edge to the speed strip just because it's more consistent. Now, do you drop one every now and again? Sure. It's an imperfect system. It's a little piece of rubber that can wear out. But I will say, consistency and ammo storage wise, it's a lot better to run off of a speed strip than it is to single load out of your pocket. The other thing is, chances are if you're running around, if you're sitting, whatever, you're going to end up spilling some loose 38s anyways. So matter of preference, you might be a wizard at loading singles, but I like the speed strips and I'll keep using them just because of what they can do. All right, guys, to wrap this up, we're just going to put together a short course here. We're going to start off at 5 yards on the first paper target, fire 3 shots, move to our second cone, which is at 10 yards, fire 3 shots into our next paper target, and that's going to put us empty. So on the way back, we're going to initiate our reload, get here, and just kind of simulate cover. So I'll take a knee, top my gun off, and then we'll finish with 6 rounds on the steel that's beyond our paper. So from the cone, this is our 15-yard cone, that puts it at about 20 yards right there. My hopes are for 100% accuracy, so to get all the hits at all of my distances, especially these close ones, obviously. But at 20 yards, that seems like a very reasonable expectation of accuracy. So let's see what we can do. All right, so we missed one shot at the 20-yard line here, time 37:07. And man, reloading when your heart rate's up with a revolver, not super easy if you're not using speed loaders. And I'll say this, that yeah, the speed strips sometimes come in at an odd angle. I like them because they're really concealable, not because they're the very best method of reloading. Accuracy wise, 5 out of 6 on the steel at 20. I think that's all right. I think that 6 shot that missed probably would have hit a person if it was a full-size person. But let's do that again, see if we can pick it up a little bit. All right, 5 out of 6 again on the 20-yard steel. Time 28:26. That was just much better shooting all around. Everything felt better. I felt a lot more smooth on the reload. It went a lot better for me. Something that I didn't notice on the first time, but if your speed strip is in a pocket, or your pocket carrying a mag for that matter, if you take a knee, what's that do to your pants, right? It tightens it up, so your speed strip is now glued to your leg, and you can't even get your hand in there. So if you notice on the second run, what I did was before I took a knee, I indexed my speed strip and then went down because the first time I struggled so bad at getting it out of the pants here. All right, guys, I've had a ton of fun shooting wheel guns out here today. Something to take away from it is, are they the perfect option for every scenario? No. Are they a option? Yes. And I think it's going to be, down to how hard do you train with it? In what capacity do you carry it? And like we talked about before, there are a million scenarios in the world. I just wanted to know, hey, is a wheel gun a viable option? And I think we proved without a doubt today that yes, it is. 1, you can hit the target. 2, you can shoot it fast. 3, although reloads are imperfect, the scenarios in which most people were in defensive shootings, it suffices. Revolvers have been killing people for hundreds of years since their existence, and they'll continue to do so. I think that they'll always be a viable option. I love how deep you can conceal them. I like how flat the speed strips hold the ammo. You saw today like imperfect reloads, which, you know, not a shock. I mean, it's a cylinder-fed gun, so what are you going to do? You know, it's one of those situations. You could carry a speed loader. There was just a little bit more bulky, so I don't even bother with them. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. And I don't ask for money. I don't have Patreon or anything like that. But every time I come out here, it does cost a considerable amount of money to blow out a couple hundred rounds of 38 Special or 500 rounds of 308 or 12 gauge or whatever. So what I do ask is that, hey, just subscribe to the channel, like it, share it with a friend. That helps me out, tries to get my channel built up a little bit more. And that's what I'll ask you today if you liked it. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.